It's ugly. It got even uglier this past weekend. They lost, obviously, the match 3-2. But in the stands, there's a viral video making the rounds of Lorenzo Insigne taking on a fan, going back and forth. It's pretty ugly. Is there any way back, Hume, for Insigne at this club?
Probably not, but again, you got to defend the player a little bit because the guy's there watching his team play, regardless whether he's injured, whether he's out, whether he's in, whatever. The fan feels to have the right to abuse him, but when he abuses back, if that would happen in the street, nothing gets said about it. But because at a game, he's not allowed to have his say.
He's got to walk away, hasn't he? He has to.
You do. Ask Jimmy. To a certain extent, you do. To a certain extent, you do. But where did the fan go? What did he say exactly? Like, there's limits. And I'm sorry, as a human being, if somebody gets in my face, I'm.
He said you're diminutive, is what he said.
Well, exactly. He wanted to be called petite, like he was upset about it.
I know what you're saying there. I know what you're saying there, Hughie, but if you're a professional, he's played in Napoli, all right? He's heard bad things said before to him. He also understands he's a professional. No matter what is said, and the fan was probably in the wrong, said some terrible things he shouldn't have said, and that should be dealt with. But you just can't interact with fans like that. He knows the tone of this fan base and how they perceive this team right now. The fans are angry, they're furious. You just can't engage, can you, Jimmy? You have to walk away. He was pulled away by his handler.
Look, it's difficult because, you know, if somebody's saying something to you and a couple times you're like, okay, you know, leave it alone, leave it alone. But if someone's persistent and they cross the line, you know, your head goes a little bit. And yeah, you've got to have controlled emotions and you know, be the better person.
Craig's laughing. You speak from experience? What's the closest you've been?
Well, I've had it but out in the street, but not in the stadium. And somebody says something, and I tell them what I think, they say what they think, and we walk on. But I think he's got to be...
That's the worst story I've ever heard.
Yeah, there's way more to that story.
There's got to be.
There's a lot more to it.
Okay.
But look, it's like anybody. You know, him, Forrest... When someone crosses a line, you say something back because you defend yourself. But I think where he is, and he's in the box, yeah, somebody's egging him on a little bit, looking for a reaction. Sometimes it's best just to walk away, especially seeing as where the club is today. They're not doing well. And as you saw, now the media is all over this. It's just blowing up. It gets blown out of proportion. And it's the last bit of publicity that the club needs right now. So for me, I think Insigne, he's got to be the bigger man there. Realize where the club is.
Timing's horrible.
Understand the fans are frustrated. Yeah. Just walk inside. Yeah. Close the door and watch a game behind the closed glass.
I think the difference is in Europe is that there's not just one person having a go. There's a whole section of 10,000 having a go. So the last thing you're going to do is get involved and try to have a little banter back with all these people. So. Yeah, it didn't happen individually. It was usually in masses when it happened over in Europe. So you're best off with the tail between the legs.
Craig, you have a story of fan interaction, didn't you, earlier in your career?
I did, yeah. Yeah, it was my own supporters. I mean, every stand or every stadium has a section where you got the younger sort of exciting, want to get involved, want to chant. It's that section. And then at Ipswich, there's one end where it's more older people, quieter, sitting on their hands, moan a little bit. And they kept moaning at the team, moaning, they're groaning. And I behind my back, I gave them the wanker sign. I put my hand, I gave him the wanker sign, and then that didn't go down too well.
Did the club find out about that?
What's that?
Did the club find out about it?
Oh, yeah.
What happened?
Oh yeah, I had to pay a fine and everything, and I had to sort of obviously retract it and say it was out of line or whatever, but.
You said, you say an itchy ass or something? Like, yeah. There was...
Well, nowadays with the social media and everybody having a camera on them, it would have been absolutely caught, and then that would have made the rounds on social media. This is something else that you make a split-second decision to have a bit of banter or interaction with a fan coming at you, and boy, oh boy, everybody's going to see it. You see that sort of thing everywhere. We saw it even recently on the weekend with the European Ryder Cup thing, and they're in the parking lot, and Rory McIlroy's having a go at somebody, and it's all on camera. You can't get away with anything. It all becomes a story. So it's different times, certainly, but when you're interacting with fans, you do have to try to, pull yourself back as much as that pains you sometimes.
Yeah, you're right, because a lot of the times too, people don't see the whole story. They'll just see that one incident that happens for that player and what they've done. They don't know the rest. And that's why you've got to be careful as a player these days.
Remember that Eric Cantona karate kung fu kick when he was playing at Selhurst Park for Manchester United? A fan runs down, I don't know how many rows, to just abuse Eric Cantona, and Cantona does the karate kung fu right over the edge of the advertising boards. And when that happened, I remember sitting at home thinking, good for you, Eric.
Every pro out there was thinking the same thing, right?
Oh yeah, everybody was.
And it's very easy for the media and do-gooders to stand there soapbox and chastise the player. But I mean, I've never been through that. You're playing a game that you love, and there's 10, 20, 30, 40,000 fans just berating you. It takes a strong person, right, to walk away, I suppose. We should give the players a little bit of credit here, I suppose, at times.
Well, that's the thing. People forget, and as privileged as we are for doing what we love and getting paid for it, and some getting paid a lot more than others, still human. End of the day, you're still human. You have that instinct where you defend. And it doesn't matter. Sometimes you lose track of where you are. And okay, Insigne's in a box. He's crown on his head, sitting in a throne, sitting there watching the game. But
I wish he was, by the way.
Still human. But you're still human, and you still react. It doesn't matter who you are. It takes a lot to not react even a little bit. He possibly went overboard, but you do react.
Do you have a story?
I don't. I just... Back in the day, like Craig's saying, you didn't have all the social media, you didn't have all this. So the amount of abuse we used to get, you coming down that left wing at Forest, if you're up against the away fans or on away grounds and you got those fans, you would have got pelters.
Oh yeah,
you got called anything under the sun. I seen a thing at Tranmere last week, or not last week, last season. Goalkeeper came out and he was shouting back and forth with the fans, and one of them dropped a C-bomb on him. He reported it to the league. The kid got suspended from the club for like a season ticket. I'm like, come on, grow up.
Yeah.
Like it happens. Come on. Like just as long as it doesn't go below the belt, it's banter back.
Well,
and
it did.
forth.
It was a C-bomb.
Yeah. Oh, bless him.
Must blow the
that must hurt.
I don't know what that word is.
Yes, you do. We have certain limits. Okay. I thought without Dubs being on the show today, it'd be the swear quotient would be way down.
Oh my
but
God!
It's not.
It's perfect fill-in. He's the perfect fill-in.
I've not been too bad. Give me a beer, it's a lot worse. But
Well, even Craig's getting into it.
I know. It's great. It's great.